A dramatic temperature divide is gripping the United States this Tuesday morning, and the atmosphere is about to force a violent correction. On one end, Fairbanks, Alaska is recording minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. On the other, Dallas, Texas is sitting at 80 degrees Fahrenheit. A 120-degree gap between 2 points on the same continent on the same morning cannot hold. Meteorologists are already calling what follows the most significant weather pattern shift of all of 2026. The first effects are already being felt across the Northeast. Active winter weather advisories are in place from Virginia and the Carolinas through parts of Massachusetts, with winter storm warnings posted across the mountains of West Virginia. Snow is falling from Charlottesville through Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, pushing north through the night. Washington, D.C. is at 34 degrees Fahrenheit with a heavy mix building. Baltimore is at 32 degrees with traces of snow already on the ground. Philadelphia sits at 32 degrees with wintry mix possible, and Pittsburgh is cold at 35 degrees Fahrenheit. The more dangerous element in this system is ice. South-central Pennsylvania, western Maryland, and the mountains of West Virginia and northern Virginia are the zones where overnight travelers face the greatest risk. The difference between 1/10 of an inch of ice and 1/4 inch can mean the difference between a difficult commute and widespread power outages. Every bridge and overpass across the entire Mid-Atlantic corridor should be treated as a potential hazard, as those surfaces freeze well before road temperatures drop. Further north, the highest snowfall totals from the system are falling across downeast Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and north-central New York State. 1 to 3 inches is the working forecast, with some pockets approaching 4 to 5. Albany's receiving heavy, wet snow, the kind that stacks up fast. Portland and Augusta, Maine are in the thick of it through Tuesday afternoon and evening. Boston is cold and clear at 24 to 27 degrees Fahrenheit. But wintry mix is arriving tonight. New York City is at 30 degrees and quiet for now. Buffalo is at 28 degrees, with 1 to 2 inches already accumulated. South of the storm, the contrast is stark. Charlotte is mild at 55 degrees Fahrenheit, Nashville at 53, and Atlanta is feeling like spring at 53 to 61 degrees. Miami is sunny and warm at 77 degrees, and Tampa is at 78. That warmth across the southeast is not incidental. It is the fuel source feeding the severe weather sequence that begins Wednesday and runs through the weekend. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a severe weather risk for Wednesday, March 4th, covering close to a dozen states from Texas and Oklahoma through Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. The primary hazards are large hail up to 2 inches in diameter, wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour, and a tornado threat, particularly in Missouri, Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, and north-central Texas. Wednesday is not the most dangerous day of the week, but it opens a multi-day sequence that does not let up until at least Sunday. Alongside the severe weather threat on Wednesday, there is a meaningful flooding risk running from the Dallas-Fort Worth area north through St. Louis, Little Rock, Fort Smith, and up to Indianapolis. Fort Smith, Arkansas is positioned at the overlap of both threats, sitting inside both the severe weather corridor and the highest rainfall accumulation zone simultaneously. Cities in that overlap face a particularly difficult few days ahead. Thursday brings scattered showers and thunderstorms from the Great Lakes back into the southern plains, with Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas watching for isolated hail and a tornado threat late Thursday into early Friday. Simultaneously, the storm system begins pushing snow and ice back into central and northern New England by Thursday evening. Friday, March 6th, is the day forecasters are treating as the most serious of the week. The severe weather zone stretches from South Texas all the way north to southern Iowa, covering Dallas-Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Wichita, Kansas City, and reaching into southern Illinois and Indiana. A 999 millibar low is developing Friday, meaning a powerful, organized storm system, not a routine weather event. Wind shear will be considerably stronger than Wednesday, the moisture feed is deeper, and atmospheric instability is higher. This is the combination that produces organized supercells capable of significant tornadoes. Both major forecast models are already hinting at a potential upgrade to enhanced risk for Friday as the date approaches. Anyone in the Dallas-Fort Worth region should understand that 3 consecutive days of storms, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, carry a real danger of complacency setting in. Wednesday and Thursday may appear to be the worst of it. Friday is shaping up to be the most organized tornado threat of all 3 days. Friday is also a dual threat day. On the cold northern flank of that same pressure system, Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, extreme western South Dakota, and Nebraska are watching for significant accumulating snow. One low, 2 completely different weather disasters at the same time, on opposite sides. The weekend offers no relief. Saturday carries another slight severe weather risk already posted for North Texas, DFW, and Texarkana. The European model is tracking a large cluster of thunderstorms Saturday through Texas, Oklahoma, and into Kentucky. Sunday may continue with severe weather from the Ohio Valley back down into deep South Texas. Flooding is the threat that risks being underestimated until it is too late. A corridor running from eastern Oklahoma and Dallas-Fort Worth through the Ozarks, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, western Tennessee, and northern Mississippi, is facing repeated rounds of heavy rainfall over the next 7 to 10 days. The pattern is dangerous for a specific reason. The first storm saturates the ground completely. The second arrives on soil with no remaining absorption capacity. By the time the third and fourth rounds hit later in the week, creeks and rivers that looked normal on Tuesday morning are well above their banks by the weekend. Local stream and river levels should be checked now, before the first wave arrives. Beyond this week, forecasters have flagged a corridor from northern Georgia to Oklahoma and northward through most of Illinois as a primary zone of concern for March tornado activity. There is also a developing signal in the forecast community for a potentially significant, severe weather event around Tuesday, March 10th, with a 15 to 20% probability currently attached to an outbreak scenario. That number may sound modest, but it mirrors the early signals seen before major tornado outbreaks in recent history. If the GFS and European models begin converging on the same solution in coming days, that probability could move quickly. The broader 2026 severe weather season is expected to focus its highest risk on a corridor stretching from the eastern plains into the mid-Mississippi Valley and western Ohio Valley, particularly during March and April, with these areas likely to see multiple storm systems rather than isolated outbreaks. While tornado activity overall is expected to trend lower in 2026 than in 2025, the risk is shifting toward more frequent and heavier rainfall events, flooding, and damaging straight-line winds. Flash flooding and wind damage are capable of affecting far larger areas than tornadoes and should not be treated as secondary threats. The bottom line for residents across the central and southern United States is straightforward. Keep county-level weather alerts active and the volume turned up. Check local creek and river levels before the first storm round arrives. Do not allow the relative calm of Wednesday's storms to create a false sense that the worst has already passed, because Friday's setup is more dangerous. And understand that this is not a one-day event. This is a week-long sequence, and the cumulative impact on saturated ground and fatigued communities is part of what makes it serious. U.S. Storm Center will continue tracking this outbreak as overnight model data sharpens the forecast picture for Wednesday's corridor and